just trimmed my bangs today, so thank God for the Pikachu clippy, because otherwise they'd be all up in my face. Hey guys, it's V, and today is going to be day 6 of the 10-day blender bender. So today we are testing out a sponge that I have heard many people talk about and rave about how good this sponge is. So I had to include it in my series because I've never tried it, and granted, I'm not going to be using it for the one purpose that it's intended for, which is cake and baking. It is the Sephora Cake and Bake Liquid and Powder Makeup Sponge by Vera. So they do sell this at Sephora. It is $14 even, so it's a little bit more on the pricier range of beauty sponges, so that will be taken into account. But it is a sponge that is supposed to be wonderful for baking. So I don't usually bake like under my like contours or anything like that. I do like, I call it like, what did I say, like lukewarming. I just kind of like put a little bit of excess powder, but then I just keep blending it in until it's blended in. So I wouldn't say I bake, but we're definitely going to try this sponge out for foundation and for concealer and for like setting all of that. So on the packaging here it says how to use wet cake and bake with water until completely saturated, squeezing out excess liquid, pick up liquid or powder makeup products with the top or bottom flat edge and apply to conceal and or bake. How to clean and reuse, use your favorite soap, rinsing under cold water until clean, squeeze excess water and lay flat to dry. Interesting. That is something that I'm thinking about including in the wrap-up video, is how the sponges clean, because that is something that you have to do with your sponges. So let me know if you want me to include that in the wrap-up video that I do. But we are just going to go on Sephora's website and see what it says about the technology. You know, they've always got a spiel. So let's see. It says, what is it? A reusable makeup sponge with 2 sharp edges for precise and flawless makeup application. What it does, Cake and Bake is a reusable makeup sponge that has a design featuring 2 sharp flat cut edges which are perfect for full face makeup application of concealer, foundation, or baking and setting products. Cake and Bake is reusable and should be washed frequently with a favorite soap in cold water. Squeeze excess water out and lay flat to dry in an open area. This product is not tested on animals. Alright, so let's zoom in on my face and get down to using this sponge. Right, Pikachu clippy, activate. Pikachu, use your bang clipping power. Move. I haven't played Pokemon in a really long time. Okay, so let's get this sponge going here. Let's open it up and see what is going on. I'm very excited to try this sponge. I've never really used a sponge that has such sharp edges like this before, so it's definitely going to be interesting to try out. I love the color. Bright purple. I am totally down for that. It's so interesting though. It kind of like almost takes me back to like the makeup sponge days of before you started using like beauty blenders and things like that, and you just had the little wedges, and somehow we got our makeup on with those for years. So let's go ahead and see how this expands and everything when we get it wet. So this is currently what it looks like dry. So you can see I'm just gonna wet it real quick. Okay, so here is the sponge wet. It definitely grew a little bit, but it was kind of hard to get it saturated with water. Like, this sponge is not as squishy as other sponges that I've used. It's really an interesting texture. It's different than a lot of sponges that I've used before. It's a little bit more resistant to water than other sponges that I've tried. So this will be interesting to test out. So let's get 2 pumps of my Revlon Colorstay and let's do the blending thing. Right, 2 pumps of Revlon Colorstay. Oh, your girl is almost out. Need to head up to CVS. Okay, so let's take some, let's take some foundation, put it on my face. Sorry, there's something in my lash. Okay, let's take some foundation, blend it on the face. I'm gonna use about half or so. So let's see, it says to use the flat edges. So I'm gonna do that. Use this little flat edge here and just get to blending. I'm kind of worried that this is gonna leave streaks or like lines because it is such a crazy sharp sponge. I mean, you can see definitely right there, there's some lines, but that's also because there's a lot of product right there. So I'm wondering if blending it out will kind of help get rid of that. Let's see. Kind of take the excess, go over the nose. Oh, it's kind of hard to get on the nose area without getting lines. Can you guys see the lines on my face? Like foundation line, foundation line. There's no rounded edges on this thing whatsoever. I feel like I like the fact that they have like this harsh edge on it, but I feel like it wasn't really necessary for both sides of the sponge. You know what I mean? Like, they definitely could have put a rounded edge on the other side of the sponge, or even not even just like a round like beauty blender butt, but like if they just like rounded these just so that it wasn't so like pointy, because I feel like that is definitely making it harder for me to get on my nose area without getting lines, because I'm still getting lines. How do they do this? I feel like this is making my foundation extremely hard to blend on my nose. Like, it's looking really bad. So I don't know how I feel about this one so far. In terms of like coverage and everything, it's not like soaking up any excess product than what a sponge normally does, that I can tell. But I don't know how I feel about this so far. Especially on my nose. Like, that's the real problem area. My cheeks, it's really not that much of an issue because I have enough space. But I'm really nervous for concealer for this one because I have to go in that area. How am I gonna do that? Okay. I feel like coverage wise though, this one gives very good coverage. Oh, it is giving me lines though. They're subtle, but they're there. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like this sponge probably has a specific purpose, and blending out foundation is not that specific purpose. But regardless, we're doing it! Kind of interested if the drag method works with this, because I feel like with those makeup sponges that I was talking about in the beginning, like, we didn't use to pat, we would drag. No, drag is not looking good. I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna do that again. Drag is not looking good. So I didn't use all of my foundation, so that part of it is good, but I feel like on my nose, my foundation is looking really cakey and not good. The rest of my face is fine, I guess, but I don't know. I just feel like the application of this was just, it was rough. It was hard. And I don't want a sponge that's gonna make it harder for me. Like, I want a sponge that's gonna help me blend out my foundation easily and I don't have to work and get lines out of it, you know? So now I'm gonna go ahead and apply my brows off camera. I think y'all know the drill by now. I'm just gonna cover them up and somehow magically through YouTube editing, they're gonna be back on again. Wow, oh my God, how does this happen every time? Okay, so let's go in with my concealer. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with yesterday's, and was it yesterday's or was it 2 days ago? I can't remember, but I'm barely gonna use any concealer because I'm a little scared that this thing is gonna be like a crazy, like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like I should probably zoom in a tiny bit more so you guys can see. I'm gonna do that. Wrong way. Okay. I'm gonna do that so you guys can see a little bit better, but I'm barely gonna use any concealer because I'm a little scared. Let's just do that. I want to start out with one side at a time because I'm nervous, okay? I'm gonna use the clean side, and I guess I'm gonna go in like this. Would that be best? I think so. Let's do that. I'm nervous. Oh, the lines. I can already see the lines. Oh no. Okay. Okay. No, I feel like this is making my concealer look really dry and cakey. It is called cake and bake, but I definitely don't like how that's looking. I don't know, you guys. I am not a fan of this one so far. Everyone talked really highly of this, but they were also using it to like bake their contour, and I don't really do that. And I just, for like basic everyday sponge use, I feel like it just made my under eye look really dry right there. So I guess I'm gonna do the other side, and then we're gonna test this out for what the name says, baking. So we're gonna do the under eye bake action, and see if that will change my mind and there will be a use for this sponge, because so far I'm not the biggest fan. Okay, blend out this under eye. I feel like it would be good for that that trick that Jaclyn Hill uses a lot, where she like puts powder, like builds up powder right here to get a sharp line for her eyeshadow. I feel like that would be a good use for this. But I don't know, I just feel like, okay, you can already see like all these lines on my nose from the concealer. And this one is just not, it's not quick, it's not efficient. This is a $14 sponge, and for that price, I don't think it should only have like one specialty use, you know what I mean? It is just not blending out concealer nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and take some concealer on the top of my nose. But I really don't feel like that looks good. Compared to the other sponges I've used so far that have blended out everything really nicely, this just didn't like disperse coverage well. That just looks bad. I don't know if you guys can see, it just doesn't look good. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go in with powder. I'm nervous, but we're gonna go in with powder. I'm gonna take my RCMA No Color powder. I'm gonna take it on this clean part that I haven't used yet. Take some powder, take a good amount because this is for baking, and we're going to press that in. Okay, I mean, it's doing it. But for the under eyes, I feel like you don't really need it to have a sharp line, except if you're doing that Jaclyn Hill trick where you're going like under the eye and trying to make a good line. I mean, it's definitely packing on the powder, you can see. It's packing it on. I don't really like baking because I feel like it makes my makeup look cakey. It just doesn't work for my skin. But I'm doing it for this sponge's sake because I'm trying to help make this sponge seem a little worth it. But honestly, I'm not really finding that it's worth it. It didn't do a bad job of applying powder. It definitely packed it on. So in terms of like if you need something to really pack on powder, it did it. So here is the final product of what my face is looking like. I haven't wiped off the powder yet because I'm baking, but this is what it's looking like. I just don't feel like I've gotten as good of results with this one as I have with other ones. And here's the final product after dusting off the bake. I just feel like, I don't know if you guys can see, but it just looks splotchy, didn't blend well. The lines in it, I ended up getting them blended out, but it was just hard work. So taking into account the performance of the product, how it felt on the face, the price of the product, I'm gonna have to give this one a 2. I feel so bad for giving it such a low score, but number one, it's more on the higher end of the sponges that I'm testing out in these videos, and just in general, it's $14. Like, that's quite a bit for a sponge. If I'm paying that much for just a makeup sponge, I want it to be able to just do more than bake my under eyes or bake my contour area. I just feel like if you're paying that much for something, it should have more than one use, like I said. So the only thing I really found this to be like good for was, I mean, like, it blended out my face foundation fine, but around my nose area, it was way too hard to use. Around my under eye, it took away coverage from my concealer and made it look blotchy and dry. The actual sponge has a really weird texture to it. It's like almost kind of hard in a way. It didn't really like feel good to use or anything like that. So, I'm not just gonna keep bashing and bashing and bashing, but you guys can tell, you can see from the demo and everything that this just wasn't my favorite sponge. So I would not recommend this one, honestly. I'm not a fan. So that is all for day 6 of the 10-day blender bender. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have similar skin to me and baking doesn't really work for you, wouldn't recommend this sponge. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to show some love to the like button down there. And if you subscribe, you do that thing you do where you get to join the Muse family. And I love you guys so, so much. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, guys.